Good afternoon and welcome to Story Hour at Book and Puppet Company in Easton Center Square. Today we're going to be reading an extremely sad book, but it has a happy part too, but it's also kind of sad. It's called A Path of Stars by my friend Anne Sibley O'Brien, and this is for Asian American Pacific Island History Month. Now in this book, usually when something sad happens, it's up to the grown-ups to make the kids feel better. I mean, that's what grown-ups should do, is they should help kids feel better. But sometimes kids have to make grown-ups feel better. Do you think that this kid can help her grandma feel better when something sad happens? This book is called A Path of Stars. Ooh, look at this. This is extremely good food. Last winter, before the phone call came, my Lokyay, my grandmother, would tell me stories. When I was a girl in Cambodia, she said, living in the house by the river, we grew lemongrass just like this. She pointed to the stalk she was chopping for our sour soup. I took a carrot from the pile for my baby brother, Kiri, to chew on. Here's Kiri. And here's the grandmother, Lokyay. And here's the lemongrass. And there's also carrots. Do you like carrots? Would you like a carrot? Here, I'll give you a carrot. Here, bing! All around the house were trees full of coconuts, mangoes, and oranges, Lokyay said as the soup simmered. The air smelled of flowers, hibiscus, and roses. Oh, Dara, the air was so sweet. Can you smell the rose? Did you smell it? Lokyay smiled, her eyes shining like stars. The rice bubbled in the cooker. The steam jiggled the lid, open, closed, chattering a story as warm and happy as Lokyay's. At dinner, we ate the soup and laughed at Kiri's messy face. My grandmother's story went on. In the evenings, I sat with my brother, your Lokta, in the coconut tree. So Lokta is grandma's brother, so that's like her great uncle. That's like Dara's great uncle. In the evenings, I sat with my brother, your Lokta, in the coconut tree. And here's a picture that, see, here's Lokyay, the grandmother, and she's like remembering the old days when she was a girl and she sat with her brother, who's Dara's Lokta. We would pick and share a sweet mango, its juice dripping down our chins. We sat there for hours listening to the crickets as the moon rose. Then we would play hide and seek in the moon's light with our brothers and sisters, our cousins and our friends. From the photograph on the wall, Lokta's smiling eyes looked as if he too were remembering. See, there's Lokyay, Dara's grandmother, and there's Lokta, her great uncle. Hi. In the early spring, before the phone call came, Lokyay told more stories as I helped her cook for Cambodian New Year. When I was a girl in Cambodia, she said, we went to the temple. A real temple, not just a house like here in America. See, they're in the temple in America. But we ate these same foods, just the way my mother taught me to make them. I helped Lokyay serve the feast at the temple. Everyone loved her chicken curry. Do you like some chicken curry? Would you like some? Here, you can have some. Bing! And her rice cakes in banana leaves. Would you like some of these rice cakes in banana leaves? Here, you can have some. Bing! Bing! Did you get it? Was it good? People wore their most beautiful clothing because it's Cambodian New Year, so they all got all dressed up and went to the temple. People wore their most beautiful clothing and sat on the floor before the monk, listening and praying. And here's the monk, he's dressed all in yellow, and there's the Buddha. As we rode home, our breath making mist in the cold air, Lok Ye pointed at the dark sky. In America, it is so cold that the stars glitter like diamonds, she said. But in Cambodia, the air is so soft and warm that the stars glow like fireflies. At night, our family gathered on the wooden platform in the yard. Our father built a fire on the ground to smoke away mosquitoes. And what do you think we did sitting under the sky all together? She knew I loved this part of the story. We watched the stars. And here's Dara's family driving home from the Cambodian New Year party, and you can see that even in America, there are the stars. Though, of course, it's colder. It's very cold. So she says they are brilliant like diamonds. I couldn't help smiling because my name, Dara, means star. Lok Ye was the one who had named me. The grandparents would point to the sky and show us the chicken with all her baby chicks, Lok Ye told me, and the long line of stars called the crocodile. My brother kept asking questions, wanting to learn all he could about the stars, but the rest of us fell asleep, listening to star stories. I smiled and pointed to Kiri. Hey, that's Dara's brother, sound asleep in his car seat. So here's Grandma Lok Ye talking about her brother Lokta, and here's Dara pointing to her brother Kiri asleep in the car. Later in the spring, before the phone call came, Lok Ye watched me and Kiri after school. When your mother was just a baby, as small as your brother is now, Lok Ye said, there was a day when the birds stopped singing. A day the soldiers came. She sat still and her hands stopped sewing. She didn't see me or my brother. She was deep inside a sad story. See, the soldiers came, they had guns. After a time, she raised her head and began again. 4 years later, we ran from the war. By then, I had only 2 people left. My brother, who is your Lokta, and my little daughter, who is your mother. We took turns carrying her on our back, just the way you are carrying your little brother. Lokta and I held on to the only treasures we had been able to save, your mother and pictures of those who had died. So many people, our parents, our brothers and sisters, my husband, Lokta's wife. These soldiers were really cruel and they killed a lot of people. We hid in the jungle by day and walked at night by the light of the stars. Lokta read the stars like a map, finding our way west. We prayed so hard to the Buddha, Prayang, please help us. And we asked our lost family to guide us. Their spirits brought us to the border of Thailand, where we found safety at a camp. This summer, before the phone call came, she told another story. In the camp, we had gardens where we grew vegetables, squash like that. She pointed to a bright green zucchini, but no flowers. Oh, Dara, how we missed the flowers. It was so crowded and so noisy in the camp, but we had a small space in a long house. Your mother, Lokta, and I, we made a tiny altar for the Buddha and put the pictures of our family next to it to remember them in our prayers. She watched as I rolled a ball to my brother. Your mother was so happy to be with other children. It was the first time in her life that it was safe to play. And there's Lok Ye, the grandmother, and here's Dara's mother. Here's Dara and her baby brother. And you can see that Lok Ye is remembering being in the camp in Thailand. I helped Lok Ye and my mother gather vegetables from our garden, peppers, tomatoes, green beans, spinach, and onions. As we carried the baskets home, Lok Ye said, when your mother was a girl, she and I came to America, to Maine in the cold winter. But Lokta went back to Cambodia, hoping to find anyone still alive from our family. He went back to the house by the river. He found some of our cousins. He married a new wife and made a home there. Someday I will take you to Cambodia to meet Lok Ta and his family. That's how Lok Ye's stories ended every time. I imagined flying to Cambodia on a big silver plane, seeing the house by the river, and meeting Lok Ta and his family. Do you think she'll, I hope? Then, last week, just as the autumn air was turning cool, the phone call came. My cousins calling from Cambodia told Lok Ye that Lok Ta had died. All the light went out of Lok Ye's eyes. She slipped like a whisper into her bed. She wouldn't speak and she wouldn't get up no matter what Mama did. The house is silent now. The kitchen is empty and quiet and dark. The rice in the cooker is cold. Tonight, when Papa came home from work, he brought takeout from the Thai restaurant. When Mama took her a plate, Lok Ye wouldn't eat a bite. Lok Ta died, but it seems as if he took Lok Ye with him, too. Do you think her grandmother could ever feel better after that? As her grandmother's brother died, Lok Ta died. That's why I said this book was really sad. Out in the garden, I look up at the stars and say a prayer. Pray Ang, please help me. I don't know what to do. And I say a prayer to Lok Ta. Help, Lok Ye. The breeze stirs the leaves of the plants. My eyes spot a pale, perfect rosebud shining in the starlight. I think of how much Lok Ye loves roses. Nearby, one large tomato hangs heavy on the vine. I pick them both. Why is she picking this yellow rose and this tomato? Do you know what she's going to do? I step into the still dark kitchen and flip the light switch. I get a chair to stand on, then run water into a jar for the rose. I get a tray from the counter and spoon some rice into a small bowl. It is cold, but maybe Lok Ye will eat some. I put the rice, the tomato, the rose, and 2 spoons on the tray. In the living room, Mama helps me take the photograph of Lok Ta off the wall. I add it to the tray. Lok Ye, I call from the doorway. It's me, Dara. My voice is unsteady. Lok Ye doesn't answer. The tray is heavy, so I push the door open and slip into the dark, silent room. Here's Dara coming with the tray. Do you think that she can't help her grandmother feel better? Can kids help grown-ups? Because usually it's grown-ups that make kids feel better. Can a kid help a grown-up feel better? I put the tray down on the bed and climb up beside it. Lok Ye stirs and turns. She looks at me with flat, dull eyes. Lok Ta, please help me. I hold out the yellow rose. Lok Ye's hand comes up slowly and takes the flower. Lok Ye, I say, can we say a prayer for Lok Ta? She looks at me for a long time, as if she's coming back from far, far away. Here's the picture of Loc Ta on the bed. There's Loc Ye. She looks like she's coming back from far, far away. She nods. I take Loc Ye's hand and guide her to the living room. We take the photograph of Loc Ta and put it on the wall in our shrine. We place the rose on the shelf next to the statue of the Buddha and light the incense for our prayer. Sitting before the shrine, we pray for the spirit of Loc Ta that he may find peace. I climb back on the bed with Loc Ye to share cold rice and bites of fresh tomato. Its juice drips down our chins. Loc Ye, I say, I will tell you a story. Someday, you and I and Mama and Papa and Kiri will all go back to visit Cambodia. We will fly on a big silver plane through the sky, through the stars. We will find the house by the river and our family living there. We will pick mangoes from the tree and eat them. All around us, the air will smell of flowers. Loc Ye curves her hand along my cheek. My Dara, she says, my star. Will they do it? They have to do it. They have to go back because their cousins are still living there, so they could go back. And then there's a section where Anne Sibley O'Brien talks about how the Maine Humanities Council asked her to write this book because there are a lot of people who came from Cambodia who are living in Maine now, and so this book was written so that would help them tell stories from grown-ups to kids. And here's the picture of Dara, who imagines herself in Cambodia, and there's the temple of Angkor Wat, and there she is with her rose. And that was A Path for Stars by Anne Sibley O'Brien. I'm sorry that it had to break into two parts. So I hope you saw the first part, and this is the second part. And you can, I'll paste a link so you can buy this book from Book and Puppet Company. And thank you for coming for our Asian American Pacific Islander History Month Story Hour. See you next time. Bye.